So purposeful programming to me is basically programming events, in my case events because I'm the Williams After Dark coordinator, that have meaning to it or people find useful. For example, you're not going to want to have an event where no one's going to go to just because they don't feel like it's something that would either be fun and entertaining or useful to their lives.
So in addition to entry stuff with my frosh, I was also actually on the ACE board for 2 years. Organized a couple of movie nights, an outdoor movie actually one time, all through ACE. I was on the Wood neighborhood board. So a lot of just social activities. Through College Council, I worked with Superfan and also the Mental Health Committee for You Are Not Alone. And we worked with RASN to the extent of like helping them to advertise and to promote their event, but didn't help to actually plan it, but definitely. Also timing and advertising, because there are some events that could, I can't think of one, but that could have gone very well, but just, it was finals. Or like, just personality does come into play all the time.
Recently in winter study we've been doing some sledding, done like dinners at Sushi Thai. We have parties once in a while. Like one big hit was like pizza night where we all made pizza in Mission Kitchen, which was fun. And usually like ideas for things start like with the kids. They might mention, like I want to, like this sounds cool, or like I want to do this, or so usually we kind of like hear things that they're asking for and plan accordingly. And so like we might go to each other and be like, someone mentioned this, we should make it happen. So during entry snacks, people might be having like discussions and something will come up and it sounds like lots of people are kind of on board or like are like, oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Whereas like other things might just be like talking to one person in passing or like hearing a random comment.
What you said about how you don't really have a planning committee for the entry, because you do and you don't. Because what we discovered and what we became kind of frustrated with was that we had 20 people with really good ideas for things to do, but only 2 people to like plan them and see them through.
Yeah.
But we did a lot of really low-key programming. Like if you can call a movie night with like a certain type. We had a girls' night in where we had chocolate and we watched The Notebook. And we had an entry mixer with 2 other mission entries. We called it like Classy Night or something, and we sent all of them an email with like fancy font, and we said like you are invited and RSVP, and there was like a dress code, not really. And we promoted that one like with our Facebook group and stuff.
Williams After Dark this year has been really out of the box. For example, probably our best event was Cupcake Wars, where we had over 250 people, which was amazing for any Williams After Dark event. And we had karaoke and sushi making. And so really the way I sort of do things is like come up with what I would want to do in life and just things that I would want to do with my friends. And so I think on a very individual, small scale level, and that's really the way I program Williams After Dark. And that's not going to work with every single event, because not every single do-it-yourself art project is going to be made for a large-scale audience. So I come up with ideas that I would want to do. I browse the internet and whatnot and find ideas, and then I think of which projects would be valuable to a lot of people, not just me, and also if this can be mass-produced with maybe 20 to 80 people in whole.
That one could be, it's tradition. So for example, Mountain Day, and everyone knows it's going to happen every year on some Friday in October. And there are many good reasons for having that, aside from, for example, if you're looking at the community as a whole and you recognize that there seems to be a lack of school spirit around athletic events, I would call that purposeful programming, because you're with Superfan, I feel like we're addressing some sort of campus or community issue in an inadvertent and like unobvious way. And same thing with like You Are Not Alone, actually, and that it's an event at the Heart and Soul. It's an event, and you're submitting your event notify, and you have to get the funding, most of which we get through College Council for Superfan, for Mental Health Committee. RASN gets its money from the health center, but you can do like if it's for fun, so like traditions, First Fridays, things like that, just like a party, like the bar mitzvah party tonight. There are Williamsy things like Mountain Day, Williams Day, events with kind of a community feel, like Take Back the Night, and that's obviously for to support survivors of sexual assault, and that has a very community focused feel. There's You Are Not Alone. But I'd say most of the programming that I've been involved with has been through College Council, and it's been with an eye towards community building. And that has come from College Council funding. Every student pays this.
My program is really important because it's Williams After Dark, and Williams After Dark is essentially school-sponsored events, which is what I tell people. And I think that the purpose of my program is especially significant, but yet also hard on a college campus, because partying and alcohol is a huge component to college life. Yet, if there are people who don't like to do things like that, how does the school provide for them? So the way I really derive the purpose of my program is to throw really, really fun events that anyone can go to, regardless of whether they drink or not. And my goal for every event is sort of just, it's exactly that, to create an event that both people who are who both go out and party every night or don't go out and party every night can gather together, regardless of, in a sober environment.
The snack specifically is just like, I think at the beginning of the year it had a much different purpose, kind of like, at the beginning of the year snacks was more about like establishing an entry, and like we'd always have, you know, like announcements to make and like things to talk about and kind of like more official stuff. And like now it's just kind of been like an opportunity to hang out with each other and just kind of like regroup after the week and kind of just feel collected. I think the kind of things we plan do more for bringing the people kind of like have their own friends and hang out with other people more than kind of like bring them in and make them feel like part of the entry. Yeah. I think it might have like, I don't know, I think it makes a bigger difference for those people.
I think of two examples. One would be for the mental health committee, and again, You Are Not Alone. And that committee is very specifically made up to comprise of different personalities and perspectives. And it's not so much like Myers-Briggs type, but it's representatives from College Council, people from RASN, Peer Health, Active Minds, Student Body at Large, The Record. So people coming at mental health from very different perspectives. And I think that does provide for a more comprehensive mental health oriented event. Where people are looking at it from all sides, and also absolutely in the entry. Because not only are all of your frosh very diversely interested, but ideally you have a JA co who is similar enough to you in that like you find the same things fun and you can relate to a lot of the same frosh, and you're both excited about things and you can get them excited too, but you're both, in the way that my co and I were able to, you're both able to see what may be fun, what may need to be tweaked to be fun for this entry. And there are definitely things that I would have missed had I not had my co, and vice versa, I think. You have to get the funding, most of which we get through College Council for Superfan, for Mental Health Committee. RASN gets its money from the health center. But
we do a lot of it through entry funds. They give us $60 per person per semester. So like for our entry, that totals to like about $2,400 for the whole year. I mean, they're definitely like, from the beginning, you know, we told them like this is how much we have, and like I mean we're trying like to encourage them too, and like they've also like had incentive where like, you know, if there's something you want to do or like an event you want to plan, like by all means go for it. We can talk about how we can use like entry funds to help you.
We would fill out a form that asks like about how many people went, what would you do again, or what would you retry, or do something differently, and that was helpful to thinking through newer events. But if it's something that you know won't be reoccurring that often, so for example, You Are Not Alone, we would go over that. We'd kind of pick it apart in a mental health committee meeting and say what felt good, what didn't feel so well. We'd talk to people that we knew that we saw at the event.